How do you deal with stress? Our experts share some tips to help you minimize your stress levels and lead a healthier life. We celebrate 147 graduating doctors, the largest graduating class among our regional medical schools this year. Come join us for the celebration. Meet Thomas Baez, a Burrell student who's on his way to become a doctor. Find out why he chose this path and Burrell. It's all about community. Burrell College and Health First are working together to make a medical difference in Brevard County. Find out what it means for you. And we catch up with a Burrell faculty member at our Florida campus to learn about what they do and how they help our students. Plus, are you getting enough sleep? Discover how to create a perfect bedtime routine to help you get your Z's. Hey everyone, welcome to the DL Pulse, a podcast about osteopathic medicine, community, and education. I'm your host, Sidney Alvarez. This podcast is brought to you by Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine and sponsored by GCU. Learn how GCU is the credit union that can help you meet your financial goals. Visit gcu.com for more. Now, Burrell celebrates the graduation of 147 doctors, the largest graduating class among our regional medical schools this year. The keynote speaker was Dr. Robert Kane, President and Chief Executive Officer of the American Association of Colleges of Osteopathic Medicine. Here's a recap of the celebration.
So today we celebrated our 5th commencement in the history of our medical school. And we had a tremendous turnout. It was just a fantastic day. And we graduated 147 new osteopathic physicians.
It's amazing. I'm a first generation college graduate, so just all the hard work that my parents put into this to get me here today is just, I can't describe the feeling. It's just so surreal.
In this profession, as we continue to grow and we try to lift ourselves up and really be able to show what we're doing to change people's lives in healthcare, we need to be ready to create some new paths.
It's surreal to work so many years towards a goal and have a celebration, have family around. There's just nothing better.
We just like to send the students off or the graduates off conscious of their responsibility to their patients, the importance of the osteopathic oath, and really to remaining true to themselves and their profession.
It was a big goal of mine to stay in the Southwest and New Mexico if possible. So being able to be here for the next 3 years, I'm really excited to get started up there.
I think my biggest piece of advice would be to hang on to your why, and even on the hard days, remember that this is something that's bigger than you. You're going to impact someone's life, and you have the ability to make such positive change for patients, and that's truly a privilege.
Congratulations to all. These next 2 stories are all about health. Learning how to deal with stress is something we can all benefit from. Burrell Professor of Physiology, Dr. Kristen Goslink, shares her tips to help us all be healthier.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kristen Goslink. I'm a professor of physiology at the Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine. I'm here to share 4 tips for women on how to improve your health by reducing stress. Tip number 1, identify your sources of stress. Stress causes an increase in the hormone cortisol, which can lead to weight gain, bone and muscle wasting, and mental health and memory issues. Knowing what stresses you and avoiding or preparing for those times in advance can help you reduce your overall stress load. Tip number 2 is unplug before bed. Stress can affect your sleep, and both of those can affect your health. Unplug from electronics and from the day before you lie down at night. Breathing or relaxation exercises or meditation can put you in a better brain space for sleep. Tip number 3 is lean into your support networks. Having resources to help you cope with stress is really important and has been shown to be especially important for women of color. Making and maintaining connections with others, working with a therapist, engaging in spiritual or religious activities, and fostering a sense of optimism can all be very beneficial. Tip number 4 is exercise. Not all stress is bad, and exercise stresses the body in a good way. Just don't overdo it. For more information about osteopathic medicine, please visit burrell.edu.
Great tips, Dr. Goslink, and thank you very much. Now, how about your sleep? Did you know you sleep better when it's actually cooler? Here's student Dr. Tishana Bright with tips for sleeping better.
Hi, I'm student Dr. Tashana Bright, and I'm here to share 4 tips on improving sleep. Tip number 1, darkness. Your brain produces melatonin when it's dark. Put away your cell phone and any devices 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. Tip number 2, cool temperatures. Your body prefers a cooler temperature when sleeping. Ideally 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, so turn on the AC, a fan, or if you have cooling bedding such as pillows or linens, use them. Tip number 3, avoid caffeine late in the day. Caffeine is a stimulant and can stay in your body for 6 to 12 hours. Tip number 4, talk to your healthcare provider. Bring it up and ask them if you're getting the right amount of sleep. For more information on osteopathic medicine, visit burrell.edu.
Thank you, Tashana. Now, earlier this month, we had the opportunity to speak with student Dr. Thomas Baez at our Florida campus. Here's what he had to say about our new Melbourne campus and why he decided to become a doctor. We are going to be highlighting our students with some student profile pieces here. And joining me now is Thomas Baez. Thomas, you are a 3rd year student, correct?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So, I got to ask you right off the bat. I've gotten to know you a little bit, and your family has some folks that are in the medical field. Did they kind of inspire you to pursue a career in medicine?
That's correct. Yeah, both my parents were in the medical field, one of them being a doctor, the other being a nurse, and then my sister is an occupational therapist. So,
awesome. Cool deal. Yeah, so they definitely had some influence, right?
Absolutely.
So we are on the new Burrell, Florida campus. We're in the OMM lab, right? Tell me about where we're at.
So we're in the OMM lab. Being from the campus in New Mexico, we learned in the classroom the concepts and the theory behind what we're doing in the lab. And then getting to be in here, we actually do hands-on medical manipulative therapy on human subjects, basically, on each other. And really, that's the best way to learn OMM, is to actually practice it in real life. So in the first 2 years, we take 300 hours, and we really practice day in and day out our skills.
And it's really what separates a DO from an MD.
Correct, yeah. So we learn the same concepts in medical school behind like the different organ systems, pulmonary, cardiac, GI, but really what separates us is the additional 300 hours of training in this lab specifically, where we get really hands-on and really learn how to palpate the different areas of the body and really, get to know the human body a little bit more in depth than perhaps an MD counterpart.
Let's talk about Florida, right? So our new campus here in Florida. You're from Florida. What's it like to, in essence, come back home?
It's really special, and it was really one of my goals. Whenever I began college at USF in Tampa, I knew that I eventually wanted to return to Florida. I didn't specifically know that I would return here for clinical rotations, but I'm happy about my decision to come back.
And think about this. One of the things that at Burrell is we advocate for, mission medicine, rural areas, bringing back medical care to those areas that need them. Florida needs that, right? There is a shortage of physicians, and you're filling that shortage. How does that strike you? What do you think about that?
Exactly. So that's one of the reasons I applied to Burrell, was to serve the underserved population. And I realize now, as I'm completing my medical training here in Rockledge and in Brevard County, that this is an underserved population as well. And the physician workforce here is not enough to really satisfy the needs of all the patients that are here. So getting to come back here and practice medicine here is really special, and I feel like it's going to make an impact.
Oh, absolutely. It definitely will. Let's talk a little bit about your rotations, right? Tell me about some of the rotations that you've had in the area.
Sure. So I started out with general surgery over in Melbourne. I then progressed to internal medicine, family medicine, psychiatry, and really a bunch more specialties on top of that. So finishing up 3rd year now, just a couple more rotations left to go.
Any unique experiences or things that stand out from your rotation experience?
I thought general surgery really stood out. General surgery is very hands-on. It's really exciting. Being a DO, we are already hands-on, and just really getting that opportunity and furthering my education in general surgery has allowed me to apply both my DO skills in the operating room and as well as in the post-op period as well. Getting to examine patients and really use some of those skills I learned in school to kind of ease the burden of their post-op period.
So, I'm taking that information, that experience that you've had with your different rotations. Anything that may be leading into what you want to do when you graduate?
So my plan is to become a military physician, specifically in the U.S. Army. So as a general surgeon in the U.S. Army, I hope to be able to, to make an impact in the world, ultimately. So yeah, that's the goal.
Oh, awesome. That's incredible. What kind of advice would you share with incoming students? I know you were able to speak to some students earlier as we're here on the Florida campus. What advice would you share to incoming students?
So physician burnout is real, and medical student burnout is a thing as well. I really encourage students to get outside and find ways to de-stress themselves, whether that's going on walks, hiking with friends, going fishing if you're in this area, or going to the beach. So finding really good ways to get outside and exercise, or even meet up with friends in downtime is really a helpful thing. But also focusing on the journey, not necessarily the outcome. It's a 4-year journey to become a physician, and you kind of lose sight of the journey itself and the excitement in it when you're just focusing on the outcome. So I really encourage students to look into that.
Thank you so much for your time. I know that you're going to be hugely successful, and we thank you for taking the time to just share a little bit about yourself, okay?
Thank you, Sid.
Awesome. We'll be right back. And we catch up with a Burrell faculty member at our Florida campus to learn about what they do and how they help our students. It's all about community. Burrell College and Health First are working together to make a medical difference in Brevard County. Find out what it means for you.
Here's to the unseen late nights, learning curves, and your perseverance. The behind the scenes is where the magic happens. It's where you shape your process and where you don't let anything hold you back. GECU is there to support you through it all with the products and services that you trust, so you can focus on making your own path. Become a member online now at gecu.com.
Your time is now. Right here at the Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine, we have a 99% graduate residency placement and more than 850 physician preceptors, plus a simulation department, gross anatomy, and research labs. We offer Mission Medicine, a community-based learning experience with 2 campus locations, New Mexico and Florida. Go to burrell.edu and apply today. And remember, your time is now.
This podcast is brought to you by Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine, and it's sponsored by Western Summit LLC, proud supporter of Burrell since our inaugural year. Hey everybody, welcome back. Here at Burrell, we always like to speak to our community partners and just find out how we can all work together, and in this particular case, for the betterment of the Brevard County community. Joining me now, I am really excited to welcome Mike Seeley. He is the president of the Health First Foundation. Thank you for being on the show.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate your time. So right off the bat, I have to ask you, what do you think of our new campus here in Florida?
This is amazing. I'm just delighted to see what you've done here, and I'm so excited for the students to see the facility and the faculty also. The faculty, you can feel it in them when you talk to them. They're very, very excited about the journey that they're embarking on here. So this is just terrific.
I know you got a little sneak peek. You got a tour by Dr. Doris Newman.
Dean Newman herself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell me about what you've seen here and what you think of the facilities.
Well, I've seen a commitment to student excellence. This is like everything is new. It smells new. It is well laid out. It is thoughtfully laid out. I can't say enough nice things about what the students will see when they come here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's talk about Health First. Tell us about Health First.
So Health First is Central Florida's only truly integrated delivery network. Health First is comprised of 4 hospitals across Brevard County. We employ about 450 physicians at Health First Medical Group. We run the only level 2 trauma center in the county. We have a helicopter to both move people between facilities, but also to respond to emergencies, as they pop up, and also to transport people to Orlando, which is the biggest metropolitan area that's nearby, where level 1 trauma, takes place. We've also got a health plan, so we sell insurance
Very important.
The county. Oh, it is, but it's important to be insured. Yes. You know, and we've also got a Bright Start Center for Grieving Children. We've got aging services. We run a hospice house. We're truly, from the start of life to the end of life, we can take care of your needs.
Impacting our communities, I mean, for sure.
Yes.
Which brings me to kind of like my segue of having a med school in Brevard County, truly impacting our communities, just like your organization. Tell us why it's important that we have a med school here.
Well, Health First, as a not-for-profit health system, takes the health of the community very seriously. Every 3 years, we do a community health needs assessment, where we assess, as the name would suggest, the needs of the community, and then we identify health disparities in the community. And so for the last few years, we've identified access to health care, and then also food and nutrition, preventing obesity, particularly in children, as priorities for our service to the community. And as we embark on our community partnerships and the work that we do in the community, we focus on those areas. Improving access to health care nationwide is critically important. And to get to your original question, why is a medical school important for Brevard? It is very important to bring more physicians to our community.
Absolutely.
Well-trained physicians. And we think we can play a big role in the training of the physicians here. And studies show that physicians that like where they've trained, both undergraduate and then for their clerkships, and then ideally for the residencies, they like to stay and work in their community. And so for us, this is really just sort of a long-term investment in the services that we're able to provide in the community.
Absolutely.
By having well-trained, thoughtful students, able and willing to provide care both during their training, but then hopefully after they graduate.
A pipeline, so to speak. You know, it is shown that students that train in the area that they're in usually end up staying in the area, and it just says so much for Brevard County. And you all, as Health First, you see it. You recognize the need for physicians, the need for medical care. You know, and when you start to look at how the whole process has started and where it might be going, how do you see it from your perspective? I only see it as positive.
Well, I only see it as positive also. I have to kind of separate, or back up a little bit. Well, let me just tell you a little bit about where we're at. I mean, we've received initial accreditation to apply for residency programs at Health First. Right? In our 4 hospitals, we're approximately 900 beds around the county. We feel very confident that we can provide a very good educational experience for the residents that come to train with us. I'm still very much in an operational mode where I'm really laser focused on making sure, in a partnership with Burrell, that we can provide good, safe, quality training experiences for the students here. And so that's kind of the middle point, where we find ourselves. There's a bright, beautiful tomorrow ahead, and so we feel really great about that. We have to make sure the decisions that we're making as a system are exactly right for the students. What I can see when I look here, even in this room here,
our LMM lab, yes, absolutely.
You've made great decisions for the students, and so so I feel very positively about this. We are absolutely focused on making sure that the decisions that we're making to train the graduates that you produce, that we're able to welcome them and continue their great training.
And really it just benefits our students, from having you all as neighbors or down the street from, whether it's the preceptor program or, as I mentioned, just because you're a neighbor. It really is having that educational component for our students, right? The first and second year, it's academic training. Third and fourth year, it's getting, boots on the ground and doing those clinical rotations, and you guys are there to help.
That's exactly right. I mean, we know that students that have clinical experiences early are going to succeed, right? I mean, that's just really, they're going to be better clinicians, they're going to be better diagnosticians, later in life. And so we're excited to be part of that. I mean, as I think it took me 5 minutes to get here from our largest hospital. It's a 500-bed hospital. The helicopters land on the roof. We do world-class cardiac surgery there, tons of deliveries. I mean, it is really, when you kind of think about the clinical experience, it's sort of the penultimate penultimate, it's not the right word, but
Yes.
certainly the ultimate, clinical experience, factory or laboratory or whatever you want to call it.
So Mike, they're giving me the signal that we're running short on time, but I just have to ask you this, and I'm probably putting you on the spot a little bit here, but we are in the Space Coast region. They're known for their rocket launches, and you are an avid photographer capturing the rocket launches. That's really cool to me. Tell me about that.
I confess, I do take a lot of photos of the rocket launches. It is what the Space Coast is known for. Fun fact, our area code is 321 launch.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, so it really defines the Space Coast, and even why it's called the Space Coast. I mean, people go to the moon from, it's just 35 or, so some odd miles up the coast. And so, yeah, I take a lot of photos, and the Health First wallpaper, right now, institutionally wide across, 10,000 workstations is one of my photos of a rocket launch. And and your students will get to see them on average, I don't know, like every 5 days or so there's a rocket launch.
Oh, that's
here.
fantastic.
Yeah, it is really, really cool.
And hopefully we get some of his pictures up in the building here on our walls.
I have told the Dean and President Hummer that my photos are yours to use.
Oh,
So,
perfect.
yeah.
Absolutely. If people want more information on Health First, where can they go?
It's hf.org. That is just simply that. Or I encourage people, if students or the faculty, the faculty know this. If the students have any questions, they can reach out. I have the distinction of being the designated institutional official for the graduate medical education programs. As I said, we're still in the evaluation process of thinking about how that goes forward from this point. But they can reach out. I'm just michael.seeley@hf.org with any questions that they've got. The Space Coast, it's a terrific place to live, and it's going to be a terrific place to get your medical education.
Fantastic. Mike, thank you so much for your time. We truly appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing more of your rocket launch pictures.
It's my pleasure.
We'll be right back after the break. We catch up with a Burrell faculty member at our Florida campus to learn about what they do and how they help our students. This segment is brought to you by Hub Insurance Services. Their team of knowledgeable insurance professionals in New Mexico has the insight and resources to build customized programs that can evolve with your company's needs. Their scope and size enables them to access a wide range of resources, offer a deep bench of industry experts, and utilize exceptional market buying power on your behalf. Work with the Hub New Mexico insurance team to identify customized insurance coverage solutions for your business or personal needs. Find your local New Mexico insurance office today and get a quote. Hey everybody, welcome back. We're still here at the Burrell campus in Florida, and we're having a conversation about our anatomy department. And to help us learn a little bit more about this particular department, I'm joined by Dr. Mir Salim. Thank you so much for being on the show. What is your title?
Professor, thank you, by the way. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm very happy to be here. So I'm a full professor.
Okay, great. So now you're the professor for anatomy?
Yeah, anatomy and biological sciences and cell biology.
Dr. Salim, tell me about this. So you're teaching anatomy. Tell me about what you do.
So normally, the anatomy is the structure of human body, and for that it's really important to know the basics before you know the details of other subjects. So we go through all the human body, different organ systems, and it has two parts. One is the lecture part, and the other one is the lab. In the lab, we have dissections, we have cadavers that the students dissect. We supervise them, and also we have models, and the students go and look at the models, so that way they can look at the models and then see an actual human being. And the third part, which is the application of it, we have imaging. So we have ultrasound, CTs, MRI, X-rays, that we can train them so they can apply that in their future career.
And this takes place immediately, I think, for first year, correct?
Exactly. So when the students start, they come in the next month or so, starting with musculoskeletal system, so the bones, and then the muscles, and then the organ system, so the chest and abdomen and pelvis. And eventually at the end, they go to the nervous system, because the nervous system is like the top. So
right. Okay, so Dr. Salim, as the professor of anatomy, what advice would you have for students to get through your class, to understand the material? I want you to look at that camera and tell them, what would you say to them?
So well, the first thing is the interest. So you come to medical school, you have to have a lot of interest. And you know, anatomy is one of the basic things that you really need to know if you want to know anything else. So all the imagings that you will later on, you will see it in your career based on anatomy. If you want to know the physiology, you have to know the anatomy part of it. So this is the base of everything. So this is why anatomy is a critical course in any medical school that you go to. So one is the interest. The second thing is that the dedication. So it is a lot of material, so you have to study it multiple times because it requires a lot of memorization. So you can go back and forth, and you know, you can use your own keys, you can have videos, you can have questions, you can repeat. So there is a lot of dedication that you be involved in it, and that way you can learn it and think about your future. That way what you learn now will be applicable in the future. Any procedures that you do that requires anatomy, and imaging that you do. So anatomy is like one of the most important basic sciences that you need for your future career.
Now you mentioned there's a lot of material, right? So how do you recommend that they absorb this material? Or I mean, should they break it down and then once they learn something move to the next? Or what's your recommendation?
So it requires a lot of you know, repetition. One of the key things is repetition. That's why I was asking, you know, Anki cards are good for exam purposes, but that's not the only thing. Short videos, reviews, we can have reviews, and break it down to smaller pieces, a topic that is easy, you know, you can learn it faster. Topics that are more difficult, you can come back the next day and then review it. Always use atlas, because atlas are important. If you read something in a text but you don't visualize it, that will make it very difficult. So then once you learn the material, the background, you can come to the lab and you can see the actual cadaver. You can, you know, look at the model. So that way, it's a combination of multiple things. Plus the imaging, you can see the 2D imaging. So combine the whole thing together, that makes the learning a lot easier. So it's not like something that you cannot imagine it and you just try to memorize it. It requires a lot of visualization, and that makes it a lot fun actually to learn.
Dr. Salim, you know, we're showing video of our new anatomy lab, and it's new. Tell us about it.
So right now we are still bringing more equipment, so we will have and of course, we have tables for cadaver dissections. We have the specific room for models. There is cameras that will be there that will broadcast inside the you know, dissection rooms. And the faculty will be there, so we can help you. And also, you will be divided in smaller groups, and you will start dissecting, and we are supervising your dissection.
And here in our school, here at Burrell, and please correct me if I don't get this quite right, it's full dissection.
Yes,
is that correct?
Yeah. So before it was pro-section, but we changed the curriculum, so it's dissection, so which is a good you know, experience for the students, because this is something that you can actually see 3D and you can feel it. Yeah, so this is very different than something you see it, you know, 2D. Plus, in the future, if you do any kind of surgeries, procedures, those are the things that you will remember it from here, and then that can translate later on.
Yes. Dr. Salim, let's talk a little bit about you.
Okay.
Tell us about your educational background.
So I'm an MD, and also I have a Master of Science degrees. Master of Science was in oncology. I have been teaching for the last 24 years. Started teaching in University of British Columbia in Canada. Vancouver, Canada, and then I moved to Caribbean for a few years. Came back to Florida, so I was in Nova Southeastern University for more than 10 years. So
you like the wonderful weather here in Florida, right? So we were able to chat a little bit before we started taping, and you shared with me why you went into medicine, and I thought it was very powerful. And can you share with our listeners and viewers why you decided to go into medicine?
Yeah, originally I'm from Afghanistan, and when I was young, there was a lot of fighting, suffering, and it's a civil war, and I was observing them. Not much, medical support was there. That actually, at that young age, gave me the impression that I have to help students and also go to a healing profession that I can help the patients and heal the patients. And as I told you, somebody gave me a book, and that book was about nutrition, the effects of food and health. And when I learned that, that way I was able to tell everybody, okay, eat this, and with this, that will help you and decreasing diseases, preventing some conditions. With limited physicians that we had, actually lots of people were coming, interestingly to me to tell me, okay, what should I eat? And that translated later on to actual scientific way that I had more interest in biology. So when I was in high school and went to medical school, and that way I pursued a medical career to help the student. But I also had a family. My mother was a school teacher, and she won multiple awards for teaching. So that also had some effect on me, that I went also to teaching. So I have I've done medical career as treating patients, and teaching. I have research, and so it's a combination of multiple things, and also administrative. I had multiple administrative positions.
So, because you do have an educator, in your family home, in your background, did your mother ever share any educational advice to you as to how to teach?
Yes, exactly. So she was always telling me to be passionate about what you teach, and be close to students and see how they feel and what they learn and what are their needs. And this is one of the things that I've always done it. And when I was a student, when I was going through the medical school, actually, I was always thinking, why should I learn this?
Yes.
And I'm sure a lot of you will think the same thing. And one thing that I usually do is integration, because I have taught a lot of different subjects in my career. I can integrate a lot of things, that why this anatomy is important for this topic in physiology or in clinical medicine. So this is what I always do.
Very interesting.
So I gave a lot of disease examples. That way the students can see the real life application of things.
Yes.
And need of the students, okay, you don't overload the students. Things that are important for a student, they have to, they will not be anatomists, most of them. So they will be doctors, and this is the thing that we have to understand, that we should teach them things that are important and teach things that they can remember.
Well, Dr. Salim, I know that you are going to inspire our students, and they are just going to benefit by having you here as one of our staff members. Thank you so much for your time and for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we'll be right back. Well, that's our show. If you have any questions or story ideas, you can send us an email. Our email is communications@burrell.edu. We'd love to hear from you. You can also follow us on our social media handles. Our handle is @Burrell College. I'm your host, Sidney Alvarez. Thanks for watching, and until next time.